Bears camp day 2, and today was Karan Amagaji's day to get first team reps at left tackle. I have a full breakdown of everything that happened today in practice, with some highlights courtesy of the Bears media team and so much more in a quick, no fluff, no BS recap. Let's get right into it. First, there was a minor roster move as the Bears released safety Tavarius Moore and re-signed defensive back Alex Cook after just waiving him a couple days ago. Cook is a 26-year-old safety who was a UDFA signing by the Panthers in 2023. He started 2 games, had 11 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and didn't commit a single penalty. He has decent size and ran a 4.45 40, showing off good speed. He's smart, takes good angles, and he's always around the ball, although he doesn't seem to possess great ball skills, with just 1 career interception. He also missed 5 total tackles in his 2 starts, and sometimes went for big hits instead of wrapping up. But he offers intriguing size and speed combination to at least challenge for a roster spot. Okay, and now let's talk about practice. Yeah, we're talking about practice. After just 2 days, it's already clear to the media and to the players that the intensity this year is just different than it was at any point last season. Our starting safety, Kevin Byard, was quoted saying that himself, and everything coming out of Hallis Hall right now only echoes those statements. Practice is more intense this year, and it's not just Ben Johnson. It's also defensive coordinator Dennis Allen, who welcomed the new member back to the defense today by having the entire defense circle around him and watch him do their up and down drills. Everyone on this defense has to pay the toll, but it continues with assistant coaches like Eric Bieniemy, who Ben Johnson called one of the most intense coaches he's ever been around, to other stud assistant coaches like Antoine Randall, Al Harris, Dan Ruchar, and more. This coaching staff is already ramping up the intensity at practice, and I cannot wait until pads come on. A couple of clips from practice today showed Caleb Williams rolling out and hitting DJ Moore for a short completion on the sideline. We also saw the wide receivers doing more sideline catches, practicing that toe drag swag. The interesting note there was that second-year player Maurice Alexander was running behind DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, but ahead of Olamide Zaccheaus and Tyler Scott. Scott, meanwhile, has not impressed early on. Hopefully he can have a big camp. We also got to see Colston Loveland working on his blocking drills and running backs catching some passes as well. Today was a better day overall for the offense, but things are still ramping up. One of the best plays of the day was rookie 7th rounder Kyle Monungai juking a linebacker near the end zone for what would have been a TD. He got some work with the first team today. Keep an eye out on the 7th round pick. And then we get to the left tackle rotation, where Karan Amagaji got his turn getting first team reps at left tackle. Ozzie Trapillo worked with the second team, and Braxton Jones was mainly doing individual work on the sidelines. It's going to be really interesting to see how these snaps get divided once Braxton is back to full speed. The longer he misses out on the team portions, the further behind he'll get. I'd say the race to win the starting left tackle job is still wide open. Nobody is a real favorite right now, and all 3 guys are in a real competition. Once pads go on, that's when things will really heat up, but I do expect someone to grab a hold of that job roughly 2 weeks from tomorrow. That's when we have our joint practice with the Dolphins, and then we have our first preseason matchup of the year just 2 days later. I would say by Monday after that game, I will be ready to call out who the starting left tackle will be. Right now, Ozzie Trapillo is still my favorite to win the job, but anything can happen over the next couple of weeks. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, practice ended with newcomer Trey Flowers making his presence felt, laying a big hit on wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus. Our slot receiver was down for a bit after the play, but he walked off the field on his own. This is the kind of physicality that Flowers brings and something that Dennis Allen is looking for. However, we don't want any of our own players getting hurt. Other notes on defense, it was Nashawn Wright who continues getting reps with the first team, with JJ on the sidelines rehabbing. Kevin Byard also spoke about how the Bears are trying to win the Super Bowl now. He said things are different this year, and he said Ben Johnson wants to build a dynasty in Chicago, and they're not hiding from that. One of my biggest takeaways early on from Ben Johnson is that he's not afraid to address stories in the media. He's not going to run from anything. He's not going to hide from the hard stuff. Remember this offseason when he talked head on about that report that Caleb didn't want to be a Chicago Bear? He immediately ended that narrative. And then today, he immediately ended the narrative that he pulled the offense from practice yesterday. Yes, he had to take him off the field, but it's because time is limited in practice and they were lined up wrong. He did that so other guys could get reps and he could go over details with them on the sideline. Yes, they did make some mistakes, and lining up incorrectly 2 plays in a row is not acceptable this time of the year. Ben Johnson said so himself, but he didn't pull the guys from practice, and some of the media headlines were completely taking the story out of context. Ben Johnson squashed that today. I'm glad that he does stuff like that. It keeps some of the crazy narratives from getting out of control. I know in the past I've had to make videos on topics that I didn't want to, just because these narratives will get so far out of control and they'll keep spinning. But really, what happened yesterday in practice was not a big deal. However, it is evident that our new head coach does not dance around issues like some of the previous regimes have. This really is a new era of Chicago Bears football. Training camp is officially underway, and fans will be attending practice this weekend. I also expect the pads to finally come on this weekend. We should get to see our first padded practice, and fans are going to be in attendance. And I wanted to quickly remind fans of that because the Bears finally released the times of this year's open practice schedule. These are all of the practices that fans will be able to attend. First one is tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. I do not believe tomorrow's practice will be padded, but Saturday, July 26th, very much a possibility. If for some reason the pads don't go on this weekend, Tuesday and Wednesday for sure would be padded. I believe the two biggest practices of the entire camp would be Friday, August 8th, the practice with the Dolphins, and Friday, August 15th, our practice with the Bills. Both of those practices will be heavily weighted and go a long way in determining who our starting left tackle will be. Both of those practices are also followed by preseason games 2 days later. Football is finally back. Let me know in the comments what you guys are most excited to see this year at training camp. Please remember to hit that like button for me. Stay tuned. And until next time, bear down.